Polar Night will be our second map here, guys, for the ESL Pro Series Grand Finals. It's a big pleasure to be able to bring you these games from the German scene. I live here. This is what I do from day to day. I watch a lot of these games in terms of the EPS. Not get to cast too many of them anymore because of WCS and IEM, but certainly able to give you a little bit of insight into the German scene and how things operate here. And yeah, HeroMarine, he's been on the radar for a while, but he hasn't been able to show those super strong performances just yet. If he were able to take an EPS for this kid, that would mean so much. And I think for the scene in general, that would mean so much here in Germany. Because he's a little fire starter. He really is. All right, so Polar Night, as we said, will be our next map. And I will give them the good luck. So we can get into this in just a second. But if you would like to check out more from the ESL Pro Series, just go and check out at ESL Pro Series on Twitter. You can also check me out at Kyolaris on Twitter. And you should tweet me about the games because they're pretty good. The last PvP series we had was cool. And we just saw HeroMarine pile on the very strong mid game there against HasuObs. All right, so game number 2 loading up and getting good to go. Let's jump right on in to see what is going to occur as we have spawning up to the northern position as our blue Terran. He is HeroMarine. And down to the south as our red Protoss. Currently 1 game down. He is HasuObs. And realistically, if we see Marine do or play a similar game to game number 1, HasuObs has a mountain to climb. The weird thing for HasuObs and for all of these Protoss in this final bracket is that they actually just don't go up against that many Terrans in the German scene. We have HeroMarine, we have Kaup, we have Goody. I'm missing one as well there in my mind. But aside from that, not many at all. The German scene is dominated by Protoss players mostly, and then I would say Zerg players after that when it comes to Hanfi and Delphi. Hanfi, a previous champion of the EPS. So you don't see Terrans that often. If HeroMarine were able to go all the way with this today and take the title for a Terran, that would be the first time in like over a year. Even, I think... Wait, I don't even think a Terran has won. It would be the first. It's the first time in a long time, regardless, that a Terran is in the top 4. At least over a year for that. So, Marine flying that Terran flag proud, and he makes it look so cool, especially with how he controls his army. He really does make it look cool. All right, so HasuObs though is opening up. So with something a little less economical than game number 1, he's opening up with Gateway. And straight on into that assimilator as well. So he has the options to go for a little bit of tech if he wants to. Rallying first unit straight to that ramp. And we already see here that HasuObs does know that it's going to be a Reaper opening. So he can prepare for that accordingly. And you got to be a little bit careful about that. You certainly do. Especially on a map like this that does have a shorter rush distance and obviously only a 2-player map. HasuObs, where are you going? He's going to throw down something. He's going to throw down, I guess, Proxy Stargate, if he's going to hide out here, or he's just going to use this later on for confirmation that there is indeed a command center going down. So, for now, that command center is indeed on the way. And wow, if that Reaper had actually gone all the way back there to find that probe, that would have been sick game sense. But that is not going to be the case just here, as Marine's going to head across and look to get confirmation of an expansion himself. But he already got that with the SCV. So he's going to look to try and poke around. He's a little bit wary by the looks of things with this Reaper. I think, well, let's think about this. He saw the probe go in, and he knows it didn't die. So where is it? And that's, I think, why he's being a little bit more wary. As is this SCV also moving around over the left-hand side. So he knows something's amiss, maybe with just that one probe. Good position for that mothership core to be on rally. just to shoo away this Reaper that knows it can't really get him. And we have the bunker going down as well, just to keep HeroMarine well and truly defended here in game number 2, as he is currently that 1 game up, as we mentioned before. Now, what do we see? We see Twilight Council very, very quick out of HasuObs here. I was curious as to what he was doing, because he was banking a little bit of gas, more so than I was expecting, since we saw him in game number 1 go for the Robo, and then the Forge, which is the standard go-to. But HasuObs here is either going to be going Dark Templars or some kind of Blink aggression. So if he throws down extra gateways here, like 4 extra gateways, then it is that. But and the Reaper does end up dying. Okay. So I'm expecting Dark Templars here. Or not. Thanks, Hasu. There's no gateways. Well, his Stalker numbers are going to be a little bit lower than would be expected if you want to try and put on this assault. But how many gateways is he going to throw down? These pylons, especially one up here and one down here, have so much room to be able to hide some gateways if he wants to throw down big, big numbers of gateways at least. But he is focusing so much Chrono Boost into that Blink. There we go. All right, I see it. It's all good. So 5 gate Blink Stalkers. Could even add on additional gateways up here if he wants to get hyper aggressive with this. He's only on 35 probes, so he has to be careful about how much economy he's going to commit to. And this probe that was hidden all the way up here for the longest time has now come into play. He scans, he sees Forge, he sees 3 gateways in this as well as a Twilight Council. Something is amiss, something is up. He throws down the engineering bay, but he has to be so careful. He did see... Oh, we didn't see the Twilight Council. That's so bizarre. It was on the very cusp of spotting it. Oh, that's a really unfortunate position there for HeroMarine. Very, very unfortunate. If he'd have spotted that. But now he knows that some aggression is on the way. Positions his SCVs accordingly. He can't really, though, start too many bunkers, unfortunately for him. By the time they would finish, they won't really have too much ability. I don't think he sees that bio on the very high ground, but the Stalkers are just going to push in at the front anyway. Bringing down that bunker would be very nice. Good Blink control. And all the bio comes down from the high ground. And he actually saved the bunker. Wow. Well, starting to pick off units. Just 1 or 2. But still, he did have the high ground vision, and he realized that there was a Marauder or 2 up there. So has to be careful. Now, with this Hasu, I don't think he sees too much more opportunity to really make this work. The bio army is quite strong, and he does see it with the Mothership Core once again. There's plenty of SCVs here, still repairing away, but he's going to get a few of them in turn. And that was a very, very nicely placed Time Warp to try and shut a lot of this down. Any stim that you can bait out here from these units makes it harder, really, for the medevacs to do their job once they come out. And look how low some of these units are. Even warping in some Zealots right next to this army, they are going to be cannon fodder. And now the medevacs are out. These Blink Stalkers cannot really continue on with this assault. And everything that HasuObs has done here has been at the sacrifice of a little bit of economy. He didn't have these 2 gases that quickly. It's been at the sacrifice of a little bit of tech. He still doesn't have a Robo out, so he's going to be fully committed for a little, quite a while here to this Gateway Twilight Council tech. And HeroMarine here, all the while, he was just playing out a standard game. He was just establishing his macro, establishing his barracks. He's adding on a 3rd one now. He shouldn't get too overzealous about this assault, but the 2 medevacs provide him great support when it comes to pushing on forwards. And at least baiting out Photon Overcharge is very nice. HasuObs shouldn't be taking this engagement too strongly, because his Zealots were trapped behind those Stalkers. I suppose he could always blink those back and get those in the front to the fray of the fight. And he's adding on so many more gateways. So as I said, this is just, it's very difficult from this point onwards to transition onto Robo when you know your opponent has just been playing a standard game and you didn't do that much damage with your initial Blink assault. So he's just going straight into Storm, getting charge, making sure that his gateway force is going to be as strong as possible. But we saw how well Marine was able to control his engagements in game number 1. So I feel here that Marine has an opportunity to establish a third base almost for free if he wants to. Aside from this pylon that he has to kill off with, you know, Zealot Warpins that are just going to come along and be annoying. And there we go. Whilst he pressures his opponent and can't really do too much. The one saving grace that we see, though, from HasuObs' opener is the fact that HeroMarine is clearly a little bit scared to put on any drop play. He knows Blink was out very early. He can't realistically commit to some big drop play. So he's just going straight for the jugular, trying to do some damage at the very front. Stims up once again. Zealots try and charge on in. They do not have the most amazing upgrades in comparison to where they were in game number 1 when the first engagements were coming, as they did end up having that +2 armor pretty rapidly in game 1, thanks to the fact that they open up Robo and Forge, but tries to drop a Storm, does end up whiffing that a little bit. The bio still being controlled very impressively. And the Storms, they're hitting, but they're not doing the big damage that they want to. The bio's being traded away, though. And now he will have to retreat on out. Needs to kind of get out of there pretty quickly, because those Blinks could come along and will end up getting maybe 1 or 2 of these medevacs. Does focus 1 down, but as 1 goes down, 2 more do come along. And loses the second to even things out. But HasuObs senses blood. He goes for the Blinks. He goes to try and do some damage. He's killed off a few medevacs. The bio now turns with the reinforcements and will kill off some of this. But those Zealots reinforcing should be able to push him away, especially since +2 armor is about to finish. Marine got quite lucky in these engagements, and the fact that +2 was not finished just yet. We have Zealots warped in. They've actually been doing a bit of harassment in this mineral line, and also more just rendezvousing at the front. He needs to repair that bunker, but it's going to go down very quickly. HasuObs really took a very opportunistic approach to this game, realized that his opponent had overextended a little bit, and in the process kills off 20 workers. So it's going to be 42-55. I got to commend HasuObs on his ability to jump at the opportunity there in this game. After seeing his opponent had maybe overextended just a little bit. I mean, there was no real reason why HeroMarine had to be here applying as much pressure as he was doing. And it looks like he's just going to push his opponent over the other side of the map again with his 60 army supply to the 40. But he can't realistically put on any pressure because there's 6 High Templars out. These guys, they are going to absolutely rock Mr. HeroMarine's socks if he wants to go for the engage. Likewise, the Zealots just going to town. Only got 3 workers during all of that, though. And for now, we have Mr. HasuObs looking to establish the safest base on the map for him, which I think here is an important one. If he were to go for this base, then I think across these 3 locations, he may have been drawn just a little bit too thin. This one at the back, much more easily defended if you're positioning your army around here, and then just bouncing between them. HeroMarine now, though, looking to continue on with this pressure. Units-wise, he's actually quite Marauder-heavy. 18 Marauders and 24 Marines, so a pretty good distribution here to do the damage that he needs to against an opponent that was initially committing 2 Sorkers, but now really does like having out the concussive shells to try and slow down some of these Zealots where he can. But still, actually, HasuObs is looking to go for the assault. This could turn into a really wonky base trade, a really strange base trade. He does have recall, but at the same time, HeroMarine can just lift up and walk away. And when you only have gateway units, all right, here's the scary thing. If you only have gateway units in this position, it depends whether, does he have any High Templars with this? I don't think he has any High Templars in the defense. He actually recalls back to this natural, but there's a lot of damage actually being done. The High Templars are here because they're going to try and blanket a lot of this, and they do end up taking a lot of damage. Oh, the Storms absolutely massacre a lot of this bio. And he was able to push away the 3rd location. HeroMarine overstayed his welcome. Get out of my house, says HasuObs. All right, recall is a good spell. That could have gone very pear-shaped if recall was not in the game. But he's still blinking forwards. These blinks forwards to get medevacs maybe. If he can get just 1 more, I think it would even be wise to, that's like, if he could blink forward to get that and then sacrifice 1 Stalker for that, it would be sick. But it's a clutch call to make at this position. And you don't even get it, potentially, with those Marauders if your opponent senses that you are going to try and go for it. Anyway, the Zealots are still continuing to pile it on. We haven't seen the most amazing of bunker and supply depot placements here to shut that down, but HeroMarine tries to find some more damage in his opponent's main with a big, big drop. And tries to go back in again, but there is a feedback there. Drops one Marauder to try and get that High Templar, but alas, the army was too quick to react. And that third base is now being established here by HasuObs. So despite slowing down his opponent's third base, where was that command center? Did it end up dying? I guess it did. Despite shutting down that third base, the fact that his third base is now also going to be tied up in a very similar fashion to HeroMarine's, and he does, he finally kills off that pylon. It's been causing him so many problems. All right. Well, as we transition on, one thing seems abundantly clear. It's that HasuObs really doesn't like transitioning onto Colossi too quickly in this current metagame, which could help him out, I'll be honest with you. Storms are pretty good, I'm not going to lie. Storms are pretty good. But the addition of Colossi can hold you in even better stead right now with 103 army supply to 82. And HeroMarine, though, he still hasn't replenished his SCV work counts. There's never really too many SCVs in production tab. He's just relying completely on his army. If HeroMarine gets maxed out and is able to dodge the storms, then he'll have an absolutely blistering army. Tries to go in here, focuses down one of those Archons, splits these units up just a little bit, tries to dance out them. That was a great second storm. Gotta say, really, really nice second storm by Hasu. Just to push this army back, but he doesn't really have that much, that many gateway units here. The split up once again here for Marine. Some of these medevacs are not very high on energy. That feedback didn't do anything. That medevac had no energy whatsoever. Time Warp goes down, but the bio is still kiting pretty impressively. Army supply is 81 to 62. More Zealot Warpins, though. That's going to be able to push HeroMarine back. He tries to load up and disappear, but a nice blink forwards plus combination with that storm will kill off quite a bit of it. And HasuObs now takes a very, very nice, healthy lead here in game number 2. Oh, that one medevac had so many units in it, but he just barely didn't get it. All right, Zealot's going to charge forwards. HasuObs, as we said before, ever the opportunist, plays defensively until he senses the blood, gets a few more medevacs. The Zealots charge forwards for the Archons to try and close the gap, as the bio does not want to stick around here for very, very long. The medevac counts have been broken down. It's now 4 medevacs out here and not really that much bio. There lands a storm, killing off a lot of that bio, at least weakening it, and he forces the lift up once again. HasuObs here in game number 2, looking to even things up. Poor little Archon. He tried to morph in and was not successful. Was successful? Was successful. Wow. All right. It feels that his third base is much more of an important thing to save than getting one Archon who manages to sneak away. It's rare you actually see Archons get away with that low shields. All right, well, 2 more medevacs in production at any given time here for HeroMarine. Imagine if we'd have seen some kind of Colossi transition now out of HasuObs, but at the same time, you do have to consider the fact that he has been quite gas intensive in terms of this gateway play. Look how many High Templars he has, 7 still out. If he brings all these with the army, HeroMarine has been so aggressive that he still doesn't have a Ghost Academy. And he lost a lot of his economy during the entirety of the game anyway. 44 workers that he's had to replenish, and he's still only at 35 to 57. So this has been, despite HeroMarine trying to make the best of trades, he basically said halfway through this, right, you've killed off so much of my economy. I'm going to put this game in the fate of my control alone, and it didn't pay off against those storms. I mean, I feel that he was dancing very, very nicely during all of that, as is shown in the resources lost. It's dead even. He was dancing nicely against the storms, but HasuObs' economy just powers on through, and there's so many High Templars now. Only now does the Ghost Academy go down here for HeroMarine. Well, he wasn't really so much gas-starved, he was mineral-starved. All right, well, Nexus on the way, once again for HasuObs. Him going up to a 4th base whilst this Zealot harassment continues with the Warp Prism means that HeroMarine has to pull an absolute miracle out of his hat if he wants to kind of tie this up. get himself back into this game. He's on 3-2 upgrades against an opponent that was on 3-1. And we'll lose the factory. So if he wants to add any more starports, he's going to have to add on a factory once again. This could be the moment after killing that factory where a Colossus switch, once this 4th base is up and running, there we go. A Colossus switch is very, very powerful. Why? Because you only have access to 1 starport. He traded away a lot of Medivacs earlier on, so he knows that his opponent's been having to replenish those. Up to 10 now. But that gives him the solace and the safety cushion that, yeah, they really can't be that many Vikings out. He did end up dropping the scan and saw that army, and it's like, wow, you have a lot of Archons as well as a lot of High Templars. Now that I have my Ghosts on the way, you're probably going to be trying to transition onto something different. That was a sick good blink there by HasuObs to block those units from actually retreating out as quickly and swiftly as they would have liked to. But again, as I said before, HeroMarine's in quite the bind. He's got 2 Vikings on the way. I would love to have seen double Robo production off these Colossi once this Robo Bay really kicks in. Because that would have really made it hard without replenishing a factory. And, you know, HeroMarine here is in a bit of a bind economically. He doesn't really have that much of an economy. So adding on a factory, then adding on a second starport is quite the investment. Quite the investment against a 4-base Protoss who, well, it's HasuObs, so he'll never ever attack directly unless he sees that you've attacked, and then it's gone quite pear-shaped. Dark Shrine goes down. Hasu's leaving nothing to chance. He's just going to continue harassing forever and ever and ever. And basically what HeroMarine's doing here now is he feels he can't really establish himself a 4th base because that Warp Prism was always being super pesky. So he's just trying to max out and then go. If you can make something happen with a max out army, then maybe cool. Actually pushing forwards here. This is quite ballsy. He gets 1 Archon for the cost of a Ghost as well, and maybe a few of these units. Has to be careful about this army. Whoop. That Storm didn't do too badly. Nor did that second one either. Trying to pick off that, and does get 1 or 2 snipes down. They are now cloaked. Unit counts, where are the observers? Does he have one with this army? Yes, he does have one with the army. So the Storms are going to be very, very important here to try and push this away. Did snipe out some of those again, but there's no more Ghosts left over against so many High Templars that will move into the fray with those Zealots tanking as well and push this back. HasuObs has taken a decisive lead in terms of that supply. Good splitting here from HeroMarine, but I don't think it's going to matter in the end, as all HasuObs has to do is retreat back to this location, warp in a few units. We could even see a DT or 2 mixed into this army if he wants to. And then he will be able to crush this bio down. Drops the scan again, though. Needs to look at exactly how big his opponent's army is. Needs to see how many Storms are left here to try and make this work. Army supplies, 79 to 77. But HasuObs' income is just absolutely outclassing HeroMarines right now. 2 more High Templars enter the fray with full energy. Great Storm, snipes down, but there's still plenty more High Templars where that came from. As he will try and land the Storms. Not the best in the end. He tries to morph in a few more Archons, but again, HeroMarine, he doesn't have the army, he doesn't have the production, he doesn't have the sustainability, and there you go. GG, well played. HasuObs ties up the series here in this best of 5. And that means we're going to go on to game number 3 in just a little bit. So whilst we're getting this game number 3 going, guys, I'm going to say we'll go to a short commercial break. Solo casting can take its toll sometimes on the throat, and I'll take a 1-minute break. So we'll see you in just a little bit here at the ESL Pro Series, as we are 1-1 currently between HasuObs and HeroMarine.